Hello, this is Emily Brueggemann, and these are my responses for Journal C. The first question has to do with engagement. How is the engagement since you have been doing this a couple of weeks? Engagement is really high compared to what I was expecting it to be. The most trouble I've had with engagement has to do when I ask questions about the books read to the kids online, because I can tell a lot of them have not been watching the videos that Topeka sends out. So when I ask those questions, kids typically start to become disengaged and focus on something else in their surroundings. But the ways I have been engaging my students and seeing this positive engagement has been I call on students a lot using sticks. I ask them to raise their hands. I have them work alongside me on math and reading. For instance, like if we're doing a math problem, I'll have them write along with me and show me on the screen. I make a lot of Google Slides and show them highly engaging ways to solve the math problems that we're working on. And I also just try to recognize each kid very often for their hard work so they feel appreciated. One tool you've tried since teaching online, other than Zoom, of course, there's no huge tools that I've changed or used. Mostly just Google Slides. I'm really thankful for that platform because I'm able to share my screen with a familiar app that I know how to navigate and show them some clear-cut examples of what I'm expecting of them in math. Share the experiences in virtual collaboration, planning, and teaching that you have not otherwise had the chance to do as extensively during this experience. So kind of going back to engagement, it's obviously really important in the classroom to find ways to keep the kids engaged. And even though I'm not with the kids right now, I think I've had to work extra hard to keep them engaged. So I'm hoping that what I've learned from this experience will translate to the classroom, and I'll be a highly engaging teacher who puts student learning first. So I'm thankful that this experience has led me to think of more ways to keep them engaged and just realizing the importance of keeping them engaged and not doing all the talking all the time. Students that cannot access the course online or do not participate, how are grades given? There are no grades for kindergarten in Topeka. Attendance is informally taken just to make sure that they're doing okay. If a kid does not participate 2 days in a row, my teacher will reach out to their parents and just ask how everything's going, if anyone needs any help, just to make sure that everything is fine. If they cannot access the course online, that's totally understandable. Nothing is docked from their grade because there are no grades taken. If anything, it's just to ensure that they are safe at home or wherever they may be. So it's pretty informal when it comes to grading and participating. It's just more of a welfare check from that point. Curriculum that we are using, everything is on the Topeka Public School website. There's a curriculum and teaching team that's put together videos that I watch for math and ELA, and the kids are expected to watch those videos every morning before we meet in Zoom. And that curriculum is very similar to what we'd use in the classroom, so it's not too different than what we've been doing anyways in the classroom. It was chosen, I assume, by the superintendent. I wasn't really aware of the decisions made on why they chose that, but I think more than anything, it's to make sure that learning is equitable and to ensure that all the kids are on the same page. So even if they are behind going into the next grade, at least they know, teachers know exactly what they left off with learning in May of 2020. How are teachers working to make sure the achievement gap isn't growing during continuous learning? Share what you would do for your students if this is your class. So Topeka is very strict on no new material needs to be sent out. It is all based on this website and what the people put together. So it's kind of out of the teacher's hand at this point, since they're not allowed to send anything new. They are really just limited to what the school has uploaded. So I'd say, making sure that they at least are participating online during the Zoom meetings is a major way that students can help lower the achievement gap. If it were my classroom, I would kind of hope that I would be allowed to send out new materials so I could think of, things that my particular class enjoyed doing and send that to them via Seesaw or Google Classroom. But again, it's very different from district to district from what I've heard. What is your district doing to prepare for the next school year? What is the return to learning plan? I assume that's what the question was. They have not talked much about it at all. They had a kindergarten roundup, so the meeting with future kindergarten parents and kids via Zoom, so at least they're preparing in that way. Um, I have not heard of any returning to learning plan. I really have not heard much. I do attend the weekly staff meeting and the weekly PLC meeting with the kindergarten team, and nothing like that has been brought up. So I'm curious to see if that is brought up in the next week, because I'd love to hear what they're planning on doing. What have you heard about future online learning? Explain what should be done or considered in order for schools to prepare for online continuous learning in the fall. Again, I have not heard much about preparing or future online learning. I know that it's a possibility. I assume things would be identical to what's happening now, at least in Topeka, because it is working pretty well, at least in my classroom. I think that what should be done or considered in order for schools to prepare online. Just making sure that IEPs are still followed, and teachers are in regular communication with the next grade, so at least, if you can't see the kiddos in person, at least you're able to see them, or at least know what they were like based on last year's teachers' recommendations and comments about the child's behavior and the best way for them to learn. Any online learning option should be offered as equitably as possible, taking into consideration the needs of students living in poverty. Are these considerations you see being made? Yes, I do see that. Topeka's doing a really nice job with that. Students living in poverty may not have access to technology or to the internet, but thankfully Topeka's made a great deal to make sure that they get their iPads and that there is access to internet, so they're doing a great job with that. IEPs are still being followed, so if a student with disabilities is following an IEP, that is still happening. And coming from a class with 6 ELL kids, I know that we use our ELL teacher as a resource very often, so that parents can be communicating with someone who speaks their first language, so that they're able to have all the resources they need, just as a kid who speaks English would. So I think that the considerations are definitely being made, and as each day goes by, they're learning the best ways to accommodate for the kids who aren't falling into the typical scenario that we might expect kids to be in. So I'm really grateful to be in a district where they're adapting quickly and trying to keep things as equitable as possible in order to ensure for a successful school year next year. So those are my responses for Journal C.